up? Oh my gosh. Welcome to Divinely Dose, a life beyond your drunken dreams, life on purpose and empowered, a spiritually intoxicating space where we let spirit-led people who want more in to live a hot, holy, and whole life. Today is a very special episode because we have a guest whose expertise, courage, and compassion I deeply respect. She's a physician, a voice for wellness, and someone who brings grace and insight to the journey of recovery. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tami Berry.
Oh, I love you, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
It's such an honor to have you here today. And I want to give the audience just like, wow, Tami and I are in a community together, and I already saw her owning this space, being there, using AI, incorporating new energy into this timeline and blasting us with energy out of the matrix. But not just that, when I got to hear Tami speak in person, in front of thousands of people, over 1,000 people, with Mama Gina, Regina Tamashar, in front of this huge audience. I heard your story and it rocked me to my core. And I'm like, that woman needs to come on this podcast. So I'm just so excited that you're here. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And when you invited me to be on your podcast, I was already fangirling over you. So I was just delighted to be sharing your stage with you, truly. It's an honor. I love your mission. I love what you're doing. I think that the sobriety, the sober curious, I think all of that needs a fresh face and fresh energy. And it's so you. Like so many people, I have no doubt, are searching for you, and when they find you are going to finally know, like, oh, I'm home. Like I've met my mentor. I've met the one I meant to journey with, and I just applaud you for being the leader to go first, because you're doing something that nobody else is really doing in this space, and it's brave.
Thank you. I love that we get to live brave together. And let's live brave. Let's give this audience, let's give this person who's seeking this, who's here with us today. If you were to wave your magic wand and you were to just boop them over their head, pop, like, all right, they've downloaded it into their mind. What gift would you give them right off the bat? Let's bless them.
Let's bless them. I want to bless you. First, I want to say there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. For so many years, one of the things I kept asking myself was like, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And the mind is a really interesting thing, because the longer we ask questions, the more it serves answers. It's like an answering generating machine. And that question is so abusive. It's like laced with abuse. And so it as soon as I had this realization, I was like, no. It's not what's wrong with me. It's what happened to me. And when I had that context shift, and we're going to dive into like where that question got me later in this conversation, because I've spent the last 12 years of my sobriety studying that question. What happened to me gave me a whole new level of understanding what radical recovery and wholeness actually was. So my first magic wand moment. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. And so you never again get to ask that question. Right now, that's eliminated from your vocabulary. Dr. Tami's orders, right? Doctor's orders. You get to ask, what happened to me? What am I experiencing? What is this? As sacred feedback in the journey of life, but we're never asking what's wrong with us. That's number one. Number two, you are good. Like you are really, really good. At the essence of all that you are is goodness. And the third one I want to say is you deserve a really good life, and you get to create it. You were divinely designed with the ability to create and make manifest dreams. And you deserve everything that's in your heart. Everything that's in your heart has been planted there for you and is meant for you. And you get to have it. Those are my 3 wishes.
Oh my gosh, mic drop. That was the podcast episode. Did everyone just get that? Like, I just had an epiphany moment. I had this huge relief come over my body. And I know that the listener, like, they're feeling that too. It's like permission. And not only that, this order, this devotion to the self of, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. And I think this is so powerful because something that I see a lot in people who are recovering from addictions, who are, in a space of sober curious, whatever their path may be, that there is this like hard on the self attitude. Like, I am so wrong. I am so bad. There's something so wrong with me. And it's like something that they can never fix, like living in a perpetual state of, I'm broken and I just have to accept that.
That's why I led with that, because I know that territory. That is not a foreign concept to me. And I lived that way. The first 5 years of my sobriety, I believed that shit. And it will keep you sick. It's not full recovery. Like, you cannot entertain those ideas and fully recover all that you really are. Because you are withholding the goodness that is you from yourself. And I know it so well. I've lived in that prison. And to be sober and and have those thoughts run the show is a form of self-abuse and self-torture. And it's optional. And sometimes until we hear it in that context, we don't realize it's optional because it's the story we've been saying forever. That the reason why I'm obsessed with Gabor Mate's work. When I was getting sober and I was understanding, oh my gosh, my nervous system is driving me to relief. I pick up drugs, I polymedicate because my nervous system is seeking relief, and it's actually the path of least resistance in my current lifestyle. The current way that I live, wine, drugs, marijuana, right, were the solution to this really stressed nervous system that was dictating my life. And when I understood it in that context, it was such a game changer for me because and then I went deeper into it. Like, this whole question, what happened to me? What happened to me? What happened to me? It was like, I went into like understanding the nervous system, and like my nervous system was attuned to this really stressed state actually in my childhood. It didn't start with us, right? Like it was in utero. It was in the environment that your mother was living in. Our nervous systems are constantly communicating, right? Below the level of language. And that is what emotional contagion is. It's nervous system communication. And we don't even need to be in the same room for it to be happening, right? It's happening at the level of like mass consciousness, mass nervous system. Attunement is taking place. And now life is unarguably more stressful than it's ever been. And so when you've grown up with a nervous system that was attuned to stress, and now you're recreating that in your life because your nervous system is seeking to be at its stable baseline state. And so you just keep perpetuating it, and you keep wondering why. And so you're asking this question, like, what's wrong with me? Why would I keep recreating something that I don't want? But when that question becomes, what happened to me? You start to understand, oh, it's just nervous system attunement. It's a nervous system baseline state. And thank God we're alive right now. I really, truly believe we're the only generation that has had this opportunity to actually have the resources at our fingertips to rewrite our stories, because we get to work at the level of the nervous system and totally change the trajectory of our lives and the generations that come after us. It's never been a more exciting time to be alive than right now. And so this work of Gabor Mate, it was like, when I understood my addiction as intelligent, I had a whole new level of respect for addiction because it's an intelligent response to a
Ooh,
stressed nervous system state.
say that again.
And
Understand addiction as
is
an
an
intelligent.
intelligent response to an overly stressed nervous system. And so we're removing that relief, and nobody is teaching us. I mean, this is why, like, if you're in the rooms and you're doing like, I mean, Bill and Bob, like one of the things that I'm a friend of Bill's, and one of the things that the reason why prayer and meditation work is because if you can get on board with it, it is a nervous system stabilizer. It moves you out of this sympathetic, stressed survival state and moves you into resilience, a state of thriving, because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And they didn't know this at the time, right? If they had the science that we have now, they would be like, oh, start doing heart rate variability biofeedback monitoring, right? We would have a far different conversation about all of the possible modalities. I mean, this is why people love yoga. This is why acupressure, acupuncture, there are so many modalities that are effective in the recovery space. Pick yours, right? Like, just make sure that you have a regular practice of something that is rebalancing and refortifying your nervous system.
I love this because something that before I got sober that I started to do that allowed me to be prepared to receive sobriety was I started doing a lot of Abraham Hicks work. I started doing a lot of nervous system like meditations where I was returning to my body as a safe place, like I was returning to this time space reality as I can be here. And not just I can be here, but I can be here and I can feel safe here. And so, like, doing that allowed me to, my nervous system to start to be able to hold this life that I had not yet been able to step into. And so I love that you're
Mm.
talking about that. And then you're talking about, too, how stress, because we're all stressed, I'm in recovery, but I still like I'll feel stressed. And one of the ways I love to do it is I love to binge TV. I didn't have a TV until, oh my gosh, last year. I'm not even kidding. I did not have a television until last year. And now it's one of my favorite forms to just, to de-stress, to just let myself kind of zone out. And so it's like addiction is like that was then like the way that I would unload all of
Mm.
my the nervous reactions to life. And so when did you and what led you to that
Mm.
awakening of, oh my gosh, I'm stressed out? And
Mm.
it sounds like you started to find some teachers or you started to find these modalities. You're like, actually, this feels a lot better than
Yeah. Yeah.
intoxicating myself, which
Yeah.
actually just made me even more stressed. So I
That's
think
just
that's like,
it. That's just it. Yeah.
mhm.
It was also recognizing that my primary addiction, and if you struggle with any addiction, your primary first addiction is to stress, period. And it's the one that's glorified in this culture. That if you're willing to be stressed enough, if you're willing to fight hard enough, you might have a statue built, right? You might actually be successful. The more you're willing to sacrifice your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, the more you show that you're worthy of success. And I bought that bullshit, right? Like, I became a surgeon. Like, I bought that idea that if I just worked hard enough and that I would be successful in this life. And I have a little bit, like, there's a part of me that just loves achievement for the sake of achievement, and there's a part of me that was on that journey to prove so much, to prove that I was good enough, to prove that I was smart enough, to prove that I could hang, to prove that I could do anything, to prove that I was worthwhile, right? This is, it is so important that we have conversations like this because our intentions always become manifest. When my intention is that I will prove that I am good enough, I am left constantly proving that I am good enough. That the intention isn't I am good enough. When the intention is I know I am good enough, I know I am good, I know I am worthy, then we start pursuing achievement and ambition for the sake of seeing how good it can get. And that intention becomes manifest in our lives. I spent so much time trying to prove myself, and then I got to the top of this mountain, right? I have the money, I have the prestige, I have the status, I have the degrees, I have I have all the stuff. And I have this existential crisis. So many things were happening at this time. This was in 2012. So many things were happening at this time. And I saw the fallout of healthcare. I saw what was going to happen. There was this venture capital takeover happening in healthcare that we're now seeing. We're seeing hospitals closing. We're seeing massive rates of burnout. We're seeing suicide rates in physicians that are at an unprecedented level. The system is breaking. But I saw this I'm sensitive, as most of us in recovery. Like, if you have an addiction, like, we are sensitive. And we actually are the spiritual leaders this world is looking for. I'm going to get off on a tangent, but we're meant to be sensitive because we're meant to lead into a new evolution of consciousness. We are the chosen ones. It is so important that we know this, that we have been chosen on purpose, and our sensitivity isn't a liability. It is our greatest asset. We're here to cast a vision for a new future for us as a species. This is our time. We have been chosen. But this was before I knew I was chosen. Okay, so let's go back to 2012. I'm in this existential crisis and I am polymedicating. Okay, I am like, how am I have borrowed an insane amount of money to get to this point in my life. I have spent so many years, like my good years, right? Like at the time I was telling myself, I've spent my best years training to do this. And I've got myself convinced that surgery is a non-transferable skill, which it sort of is. Like, you don't like, what do you do from there? Like, there's no sidestepping here. Like, I don't even know what comes next. And I am sinking into a depression. And for a high energy person, that was like a death I had never known. And so I'm starting to take amphetamines. And I'm taking a lot of them. And then I have to come down at the end of the night. So then I'm drinking wine and doing other things to try to come down so I can get a few hours of sleep before the cycle starts all over again. And I am in a trap. This audience, y'all know addiction. You know the trap I'm talking about. The checking the supply. Is there enough to get through? The like, oh my God, I can't believe I used that much. I told myself I wasn't going to do that, and I'm back doing it again. I'm in that hell. On the daily. For several months at this point. And this is the interesting thing about amphetamines, is it like fast tracks any addiction. Like, if you have alcoholism, you put a few amphetamines on top. Adderall was my amphetamine of choice. And now you're just like, you're drinking 3 times as much.
Yep.
Like, you are really, I mean, the amount of abuse I'm going to have to like have a moment where I apologize to this body again after I share this story, because the level of abuse is like, is epic, right? And so I have this moment and I don't, and this is not conscious, but my heart stops. I'm going into VTAC. I can feel my heart. I can feel my heart racing, and I know it's about to stop. And I know my heart, like I know enough to know that my heart is moving so quickly, but it's not pumping blood anymore, right? Because the heart fills with blood in diastole. In rest, right? Rest, the heart fills with blood, nutrients. That's why we all need rest. Even the heart is telling us, the heart is so much wisdom. So the heart is resting, it fills with blood, and then it pumps. So if it pumps too fast, so VTAC is when your heart doesn't fill with blood, it just pump, 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 pump. And I know, okay, I know enough to know I've got like maybe a minute. And I start to resuscitate myself. And I come to, and I'm like, oh, I take a minute to like breathe with myself, and I'm like, okay, that's scary. Okay, we're not doing that again. We're done. Like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And I'm kind of good for like maybe 3 weeks. I'm like really toning, like I'm really reeling it in, you know? And then it happens again. And I resuscitate myself again. And now I have to really have like now I have to have a moment with myself, right? Where I'm like, girl, you have a problem. You have a serious problem. You're going to die. Mm. And I didn't identify as suicidal, but the behavior, this is the behavior of somebody who wants to kill themselves. Mm-hmm. And that was the moment that like I knew it was over for me. Like I knew I had to self-report. I knew I needed help. It was the most humbling moment of my life. And in that moment, when I finally did, it was December 27th, 2012. Was my last day at the hospital as a surgeon. Wow. And that moment was such a moment of like, I didn't even cry. Like I knew my heart was breaking. I knew what my identity was being shattered, but I also knew that decision meant I would live. Like it was the decision of self-preservation over anything else. And I've had to have like 1,000 ego deaths since. You know, I think that's the most beautiful part of recovery is we are the ones who become courageous enough to die again and again and again and shed all of the masks and the identities that were never us. And if you're blessed enough to come to your knees and have that space where there's nothing, there's no thing, like you come to this realization, like I am nothing. And I sat with that long enough and it became, I am no thing. I am no thing. And then all of a sudden, I just knew I was everything. And I got to do anything that I want to do. It became possible from that place. But we grieve the loss first, and then we get to birth something new. And as many times as we're willing to do that, is as many times as we get the opportunity to like live the life we really want to live. Mm-hmm. And it was terrifying, you know, like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was so scary, you know, and I don't think anything great in our life, like it's really the emotional maturity that it takes to see our fear as the sign that we're growing and evolving is the maturity of sages. You know, like the sacred warrior that's within all of us knew what it was signing up for when it came here. And knew that we were going to be able to make this dance with fear one that was could actually be joyful. Rather than terrorizing, you know, like just terrifying.
I'm like, this story is just so captivating. You know, I'm going through it and feeling the emotions, and then this addiction to stress, and then hearing the reality too of just of the suicidal idea, in physicians, but I mean, that's in addicts too, strongly, because yeah, it's like that addiction to stress turning in on itself and not being able to handle it anymore, and then it's that spiritual, like you had, it sounds to me like that spiritual experience of coming to, like, oh, oh, I'm awake now, and I can't go back to sleep. I cannot unsee what has been revealed, and how
Yeah.
powerful, like,
Yeah. And it's interesting because at the time then I really, was forced into sobriety. And for many, many years, I stayed sober because in the back of my mind I thought, well, if I stay sober, I could possibly go back to surgery. I could possibly go back to a career in medicine. And I spent the following 5 years studying Tibetan Bon Buddhism and exploring. I mean, I went deep into, I did a 9 month intensive with some monks. I was going away on retreat. After that, when I came back, when I finished that, I was going away every 6 months for a week, 7 days to 10 days to do a silent retreat. And I did that for years. And I didn't know in retrospect that I was training my nervous system, that I was training my conscious awareness to elevate and expand while I was training my nervous system to settle. It's called calm abiding. Before you can train with monks, they spend the first year with you teaching you calm abiding. And really, this is nervous system rebalancing. That's what this is. That you can't cultivate the mind and you cannot cultivate your heart. You cannot expand true conscious awareness without a centered, balanced nervous system. It's not possible. And now I understand the science behind it. And I'm like, you guys, this is so cool. Do you know what you're doing? Because I just didn't stop. I never stopped. Like, as soon as I finally start asking that question, like, okay, what happened to me? Right? Was when I really got curious, like, really, how does a smart woman who has everything going for her go on a path of self-destruction and self-sabotage to this degree? Like, how does that happen? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense until I started to put the pieces together and I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense when you start understanding that, like, the truly, like, up until the age of 8, everything that has happened to us has become a subconscious program that we live out, whether we like it or not. And the more stressed we are, the more the brain, by default, lives on the neural networks that live very close to the brainstem. It's called the reptilian brain for a reason. Like, that's the level of IQ we have available when we're in a stress state. And all of the programming from your childhood lives there. And you cannot move out of it until this is what's so fascinating about rebalancing the nervous system, is there's functional MRIs that they've done on brains, right? And a functional MRI just shows you where is metabolic activity taking place. That's a sign of where action is, right? And when you are parasympathetic dominant, when you're in a state of heart-brain coherence, which is what I teach my clients to do, you move your metabolic activity from this reptilian region of the brain into the prefrontal cortex, which is the most evolved part of the human brain. And from here, we get to make conscious choice. From here, we get to rewrite our stories and rewrite our future. And we have the ability to become well emotionally regulated and self-directed and or, like actually aligned with our highest selves, right? This is like where creative centers are. And so what's fascinating, what my research brought me to was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have a choice. As the stress was mounting, I only had access to the programs that I inherited, that were literally imprinted on me in childhood. I actually don't have conscious choice. And when I understood this, for a person who has lived their life thinking that they're creating it the whole time, like, this was really interesting to me, because I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I just didn't have the tool. Like, yes, I'm the creator of my reality, but I never was given the tools to create the one I wanted. Like, I'm just recreating the one I saw. What? Fascinating. So now I can work with people that have, like, particularly people that have grown up with really stressful childhoods, that are defaulting to patterns of the past that they want to break free of. Right? Like, we're kind of playing out the patterns that we saw our parents play out, and we're like suddenly parenting the way that they did, and we vowed we would never do that. And being a parent now, I have a 2-year-old and I have a 7-year-old, and it is the greatest gift of my life to parent the way that I do, with an open heart, and see how these patterns show up, and be on the path of liberating them and liberating the lineage before me, because I think this is such a gift. And I think this is the work my mother could never do, and her mother could certainly never do. But as we liberate these patterns from within ourselves, we liberate the entire lineage. This is what I learned with the Tibetan bond masters. As you liberate yourself, and you get to be fully liberated in this lifetime, this is what they have taught me. You liberate not just you, but your entire lineage. You have generations that are cheering you on. And like, right now, you are already their greatest dreams come true. Right now, the way that you are right now, you are their greatest dreams come true. And so the only question is, how far do you want to take this life? You get to decide. Right? Like, just get yourself the tools and get yourself the resources so that you can take it as far as your heart wants you to take it. Because you have been chosen. I know that.
I'm like, goosebumps. I feel like my whole consciousness is just being sucked into this epic portal of truth, and you're blasting the doors wide open, like, leave no trace of anything that is not who we really are. You're like, nope, no, like, just, superhuman strength, like, just wow, calm abiding, leaning into, yes, our sensitivity as this way to lead, like, actually, hold on, this deep inept ability to feel isn't a hindrance. Like, no, you're saying, like, this is part of the magic, that you're here to allow other people to see the things that they're not sensitive enough to feel. Ugh. And not just that, but it's your superpower. It's our superpower. And coming back, like, returning to this nervous system, and doing it in a way which I'm excited, I want to know in a few ways that people, what can we do? What can they do to retrain the nervous system? Because I mean, I know it's a daily practice for me, because I get to go through my day, and I get to grow, and then I also get to see where I subtract, where it's like, oh, I'm holding this big container, I'm doing this thing. And then something comes up, a pattern in a relationship or an old thought that says, well, maybe we could do what we used to do. And you're like, hmm, what are some practical things that the listener can do to be in a nervous system regulated state that allows them to create what they actually want, not for
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's such a brilliant question. I think that one of the first places to start is really become willing to feel good,
Mm.
right? Like the first indication, it's something called interoception, is the ability to cultivate an awareness of your internal state. And we are not aware of our internal state on a regular basis. It's kind of the last thing we're checking in with. And so I'm gonna if you don't mind, I'll help just like let's just do a quick
Yeah.
little practice that I do with one of like it's called basically it's a quick coherence practice. So we're going to just quickly drop into heart brain coherence, and the benefit of this is there's 40,000 little neurons around your heart. If you just want to close your eyes and just you can put a hand on your heart. You'll notice every tradition has a mudra, a hand gesture of touching the heart or being near the heart, whether it's prayer hands, open palms, fists, whatever. Because once we connect to the heart space, our electromagnetic field instantly stabilizes.
Mm.
So let's just touch our hearts for a moment.
And if you're
And
driving, you can keep your eyes open.
right. You're going to pause this and start and come back. And we're just going to slow and steady. Okay, I want you to breathe in for a slow, steady count of 5. And just focus your attention on your heart while you're breathing, or at least the heart space. And once you've breathed in nice, full, deep, like really fill the diaphragm, and then I want you to exhale. And you can let it out the mouth to like really, let's like fully exhale. You can pull in the abdomen, like blow it out. And let's keep breathing in, nice, slow, steady, deep, as full as you can for a count of 5. And then exhale, really pull in the belly, and let's release for a count of 7. Letting the exhale be just a little longer. And you can do one more of those where the inhale is slow and steady and strong, and you're still keeping your attention at your heart space as you're breathing in. Feel even the belly expand, like you're filling your whole body with oxygen, right? This is nutrients for every cell of the body. Every cell lives on oxygen, breathing in. And then we're going to release, exhale all the way. Release all of it. Everything that no longer serves you. And now we're going to breathe in and out slow and steady for a count of 5. Count of 5 in. And a count of 5 out. And I want you just to notice how the body is feeling right now. As you're sitting here breathing, just noticing everything settling down. We're just fully arriving. We're just in this body. This magnificent body. This temple, right? This is our temple. What a gift to be here. Breathing. And now I want you to bring to mind, it could be a pet, it could be a child, it could be a grandparent, it could be bring to mind somebody that you just love to pieces. Keep breathing. Just keep breathing and bring them to your mind. And what do you love about them? What do you love about them? Is it the cuddles? Is it the smiles? Is it the just their existence just lights you up? Is it their hug? Is it their smell? Is it the way they smell you? And keep breathing. And notice how you feel. This is a strong electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field energy of your heart is 100 times stronger than the electromagnetic field energy of your brain. This instantly stabilizes your entire nervous system. You can keep breathing for as long as that feels good to you. I'm going to keep talking a little bit more about what's going on here. These 40,000 neurons around your heart are called the heart brain. You've just activated it. And by doing so, you've just regulated the trillions of neurons that are in your brain and your body. Now you are resourced. Now you have conscious choice. From here, you get to create what you want in your life. This is embodied wisdom. And so as I kept wondering, what is it within us? This is our sacred inner architecture. It is when we start doing this work that we actually transcend the survival matrix. We all just did. Right now, we just transcended the level of consciousness that perpetuates the survival matrix. And now you are creating the new future, the one I want to be a part of. Thank you for being here, because you are actually already leading the future that we want to live. We're going to be the ones to create it. And we get to create it from this place. Because I really believe we were made to thrive. We've been divinely designed this way. As I started studying, I've always thought the human body was fascinating. As a surgeon, it was my firm belief that my job was to put the body back into anatomic alignment. And there was a power greater than me that healed people. I've always known this. And now my body of work is to get people into neuro alignment so that the force that is bigger than them can guide them and lead them. And we get to co-create with this force. We were designed to. It's the missing piece to the Abraham Hicks work. It's the missing piece to stress recovery. It is the missing piece to breaking free from the survival matrix. It is the missing piece to become the conscious creator of your reality. It is the missing piece to parent in a way where you are present and patient and loving and kind. It is the key to consistently being able to show up the way that you want to for the people that you love the most. This is where we access superhuman powers and abilities.
I feel like I just took a brain bath, everything, my whole consciousness, it's almost in this field of lavender that just bathed over my face. And I'm like, oh.
I love that. And if people want more, I do have a podcast. Dr. Tami Talks is my podcast. Tami is Tami. Dr. Tami Talks. And there is a bonus heart-brain coherence episode that talks about the physiologic changes that take place while we're doing heart-brain coherence, how it's a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual upgrade. And then it guides you through another practice if you felt like you wanted a little more.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving us that. And also, you can follow Tami Berry at .md, right, on Instagram
Yeah.
as well. And then we were talking just before this episode, teasing a little bit, because Tami is looking to be on the Sober Summit coming up in October, Sober October. And so maybe that'll be a place for Tami to take the stage and go into deeper practices and things that we can apply. And um, for those of us who are walking the sober path and are here to set aside any of the shame of that and start to step into the superpower of that in ways that we can do that through our nervous system. This is something that I think is definitely missed in a lot of the different paths that people have to choose in recovery, you know, because there is the group of Alcoholics Anonymous, there is the group of people who are going to detox centers and things like that. There is the religious path and there's a social path. But a lot of those paths, you know, they're kind of putting things together, but where is the grounded, heart-centered space where we're recalibrating ourselves? And I think, you know, that's what you're bringing us and is so important. It's changed my life. You know, today I was literally on my bike listening to affirmative brain recalibration, you know, frequencies and affirmations to tune myself in, because I know that that's what plugs me in is when I'm relaxed and when my nervous system is in that state.
Mm.
So we need you, and we need the
Oh,
medicine
Rachel.
that you're giving us.
No, it really is so important. It's the game changer.
Mhm.
I love that you already intuitively know this, right? Like you already have enough introspection, right? Like you have enough self-awareness that you're able to know that you feel good when you're plugged into that, and so that's become your modality of choice. Kudos to you. Like for us to know what works for us, we all have different things, right? What I love about this is like the nervous system is something we all share. And when you go directly to the nervous system itself and you start upgrading it there, it's like upgrading your hardware. Like we do mindset work. I'm a mindset coach. I love mindset work. I absolutely, I'm obsessed with it because it's the game changer. But you cannot upgrade the software on faulty hardware. Okay, so mindset work is software updates. And we need, have you ever had like an old iPad or an old computer that you tried to update and it would just crashed? The hardware could not hold the software update. So many of us on this journey have such big hearts. We have such big hearts and we're trying to be the best people we can be, and we're trying to mindset our way, and we're trying to think positive, and we're trying the affirmations, and we're trying and we struggle because because nobody taught us that you have to upgrade the hardware first, because you are crashing the system. And now you are spiraling into more stress that keeps you stuck in the patterns you're trying to break free from, which leads you to the question, what's wrong with me? Which is why it's so important. You're going to hit play again on this podcast, and you're going to start by listening to the fact that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You just have a hardware. Let's just upgrade the hardware, and then everything else actually works. 80% of the mindset work is done for you when you do the hardware work. Because you literally shift brainwave states. You go from a beta brainwave state, excessive beta brainwave state, which is associated with very stressful thoughts. We don't just create thoughts, we receive them. The frequency of the brain, this is measured on EEG, right? Like this is real science. When we're in heart-brain coherence, that practice that y'all just did stabilizes your brain waves for 8 hours. You have moved yourself out of an excessive beta brainwave state into an alpha brainwave state. And from here, you start having thoughts that align with your highest self. Your highest self-expression, your ability to be self-realized is now available to you. It is magnificent. And for people like me who just want to know that I'm doing it right, I, I love heart math technology. There's a heart rate variability biofeedback monitor through heart math that I give every client that works with me. Every student of my programs, it's such a game changer. Um, and so I just want to provide that in case you have somebody in your audience that wants to explore that path. That's a really effective way to do it. Or check out my website, drtamiberry.com. Follow me on social media. There's a new offer coming, a free offer coming out very soon, Made to Thrive, where I'm going to be breaking down like really the sacred inner architecture even more and help you break, like transcend the survival matrix and really anchor into how you were made to thrive because you've been divinely designed to thrive. And I want us all knowing that sacred inner architecture and knowing how to work with it and unlocking unprecedented levels of health and joy and happiness and authentic excellence in our lives.
Ah, snaps and claps for Tammy. Let's go. Let's get into our heart coherence. Let's get into breaking the transcending the survival matrix. This is just where I'm hearing, and it's needed. Like it's wanted, it's craved with just so much. Whether you are newly sober, over a decade into your journey or more, or even just towing the line of curiosity of it, regardless of that, it is a biologically like we chemically like are changing our brains and minds. When I got rid of the substance, right, it took me like I was having post-acute withdrawal symptoms months after. Like I couldn't explain it, like brain fog. I didn't know what was up and down, and my nervous system was like, so to be able to have this tool, no matter where you're at along your journey and system, this is needed. And then when we're thrown the world, just stepping out into the world's nervous system right now, there is a lot of uncertainty and a lot. If we look at patterns, of history, it's like this is a way to armor up, especially as the sensitive person, to be able to have a cheat code, right, to our energetic field so that no matter what's out there, I can have connection within here, which is what, you see within anybody who's been in a severely nervous dysregulating time that was able to survive that and come out not just as like a broken person, but that they actually got through that and now are able to thrive and help other people and to be able to use that pain as a source of their power. Is like they were doing something with their nervous system, they were doing something with their heart, they were regulating the and holding on to a way, faith or love, as a vibration, anchoring that in as something that was pulling them through. And so let's have Tami take the stage. I mean, what do we say? Like, I would love to see, some pictures. I don't know if you do that. So we'll
I
talk
do.
about
I have all kinds of, yes.
we want you to take the stage. Like, we hear you going, ah. So
Yes.
yes, I would love, come and see her more in October at the Sober Summit. We're going to get you on the roster. We're going to get you on stage. We're going to get you into the Zoom chat because I want to hear more about this. I want to see the visuals. I want to, have those tangible practices, and for the audience to have those tangible practices. And what a powerful conversation. Dr. Tami, seriously, you reminded us that sobriety isn't just about removing the substances. It's about releasing the patterns that keep us addicted to the chaos cycle, because those patterns can continue to play out even after we remove the substances. And so this conversation is so needed, so necessary. And when we learn to live without that constant buzz, right, of like urgency and distraction, when we get to choose peace over pressure, we create space for true freedom. That's the kind of fuel that I want, that we want, joy, purpose, presence, heart coherence, which I love. There is this app, you can download it and see all across the world the people using those devices and seeing, oh, we're really coherent here, and how that can affect the ripple effect, the Maharishi effect, right? Where when one person meditates, another person meditates, another person, it all of a sudden has that domino effect over our world, which I have another story I could totally get into and sidetracked on. But if today's episode resonated, take a moment to notice your relationship with stress. Where does your nervous system crave intensity, crave chaos, crave dysregulation? And where could you invite more of this stillness, this softness, this tuning in, this breathing deep into your heart and letting that vibration start to encompass you, your life? And if you are craving more of this, I know I am, connect with Dr. Tami. And like again, I'll say it again, Dr. Tami's on Instagram, tamiberry.md. And also you had mentioned a new offer that you have. So I'm sure that they can find that on your Instagram, on your website, which we will link in the show notes below. And if you love this conversation, seriously, share it with others, those that you care about, someone walking the path of recovery, someone who you see walking around boasting about how busy they are. Maybe this would be a beneficial episode. Busy isn't necessarily a sign of success. Right?
No, it's usually, I mean, my experience now that I know what I know, whenever we're too busy, that just, we're living in so much shame, right? We're just trying to prove that we're good enough. I have so much compassion for everybody that's still in the matrix. Mm-hmm. I just want to say, like, your listeners are aware that the veil is being lifted. And when you are going through that, when the veil is being lifted, it is so important that you know how good you are, and you know that you have been chosen. You have been chosen.
What is one, I feel like that's it. Like, what's one quote, one sentence, one word that you want to leave this audience with as we wrap this up and leave them with a taste of wanting more of you?
Oh, I would say you are good. Mm. You are already one of the chosen ones. Yeah. And I would say you absolutely get to create a life you love. You get to have it. You get to have every desire that's in your heart. And there is a path for you for it to unfold in your life. And so now is the time for us to align, for us to truly transcend the survival matrix and create a life where we all thrive. And I want to say that as we do this work, we don't just liberate the lineage. You already were talking about the Maharishi effect. What we already know is that a coherent nervous system, when your electromagnetic field is stabilized like it was in this practice that we all did together, your nervous system automatically soothes the nervous systems of all of the nervous systems around you. That means your children, your significant other, the people closest to you, even animals, plants, everything that's living, all biological systems respond to electromagnetic field energy. All biological systems. We're a biological system, right? We're a complex biological system. And so this work it does change families. It does change communities. It does change businesses. It does change the other people that are around you benefit from your work. Is it Abraham Hicks? Like one person who's aligned is more powerful than millions who are not. Mm-hmm. When you're coherent, your nervous system, when I found this research, I was mind blown. Mm-hmm. That a coherent, stable nervous system has the ability to regulate the nervous systems around it and is protected from the stressed, static, incoherent nervous systems that are around it. Fascinating that we've been designed to have a limited, when you are in a stress state, your electromagnetic field energy collapses, contracts on itself, and you lose the ability to influence the people around you, which that's a divine design, a creator. Like, what is the intelligence of a creator
Mm,
that limited your scope of damage that you can do to others? We can massively damage ourselves,
yeah.
massively
Mm.
damage our own internal systems. And we do. But we don't, but our ability to heal others, when we have a strong electromagnetic field energy, we are healing others. What? It's magnificent.
Ugh. This is where, yeah, it's like this becomes the act of service, right? Which is
Yes.
what any and all of this message is really truly about, that Divine Dose was created off of, because that saved my life. The desire to want to help and serve others becomes a transformational thread that can get me and anyone through anything. If I'm able to be able to transmit something and wanting to give it and to help other people to transcend it, then that will anchor it in into me in a whole nother way that is impossible if we don't let that become the next logical step. Like, oh wow, this is not only just for me, but it's for what I'm now going to change and alter in the world around me. Oh my gosh, Tami, like you are mic dropping us right now. This is so, we can't wait. I cannot wait. So let's wrap this up to bring this amazing podcast. Like, go re-listen to it. Get it, like just soak it in. Go back through that practice if you didn't already. Because what a gift. Thank you so much for dropping this wisdom, for giving us this nervous system reset. Because real freedom isn't just being sober, it's being stress free. It's living a life where that doesn't have to be the path, right? Is living busy, living stressed out, living like wanting to like lose my hair, pull my hair. Oh, it just that doesn't feel good. It's like a cog in the machine to be able to smooth those edges, to be able to live softly but gently in the heart vibration. I want it. I know you want it too. So come see Dr. Tami live at Divine Dose. Let's announce it officially. October 17th through 19th for 3 days of magic and transformation. How do you feel about taking the stage? Oh!
I can't wait. I think it's such a valuable message. We're gonna have the best time. I can't wait.
Well, get your tickets now. Again, in the show notes, everything on Tami is going to be there. Tickets for the Sober Summit are going to be there. So get your tickets. The pre-sale bonuses are there, which maybe Tami is going to be putting a bonus in there. Who knows? Maybe not. We shall see. The mystery is keeping us on our edge of our seats. With all of that said, I just want to take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay dosed, stay divine, and don't settle for fine. We love you.